From New York we went to Washington D.C.
We started sightseeing National Mall with a quick visit to National World War II Memorial, dedicated to American soldiers. It is located in the middle of a huge 2 miles long green space between Lincoln and Washington memorials. It is a circle with a fountain inside.
It may sound absurd, but of all the places we visited in the USA, the Washington weather gave us the harder time than Death Valley itself.
By the time we reached Lincoln Memorial, we had been all sweaty. The memorial is an iconic spot. This is where Martin Luther King Jr. made his famous speech, "I Have a Dream," and Lincoln's statue has been captured in many film productions, such as Forrest Gump, National Treasure, or the latest part of The Purge. Lincoln Memorial was built in 1922 to honor the 16th President of the USA, and the statue is almost 19 feet tall. The building in which pensive Lincoln sits, looking at an over 2,000 feet long reflecting pole, was modeled on a Greek temple, and because of that, Lincoln Memorial became our favorite spot in Washington, D.C. From one of the National Heroes Memorial, we rushed to see the monument of American founding father, George Washington. The obelisk is not only one of the greatest attractions in Washington, but also the world's highest stone structure. Its height is 555 feet tall. Washington Monument's construction began in 1848, but due to the Civil War, its construction lasted 30 years. There is an elevator inside the obelisk, which obviously was closed for tourists during our trip.
As you may expect, approaching White House is quite complicated. You need to walk the marked paths, and if you get off track, which is not difficult, the police react immediately. We finally managed to approach the most famous building in Washington, which is admired by people from around the world, and our excitement was gone. First of all, the building is seen from long distance behind a huge fence, and secondly, its architecture from the outside is no more unique than other governmental buildings nearby. Not to mention the reasonable but stressful omnipresence of the police.
The last spot to visit in Washington was Capitol, the headquarters of the American Parliament. The building's distinguishing neoclassical architecture was based on Greek and Romans. The area is enormous as it occupies almost 7 hectares. Unfortunately, the buildings often tend to be renovated, and during our trip, the Capitol was surrounded by scaffolds. Still, the view on Parliament and the rest of the monuments in National Mall at night is very appealing.
The night set in and it was time to go to Baltimore Airport, from where we flew to Chicago. Next week, you're gonna see how the real American road trip looks like. See you on the road!